Welcome back to another episode of Peepin' Ballers. Wow, what a match. South Korea has defeated the United States 2-0 away in New Jersey. I'm joined by really two special guests. Dominic from Ballers of Korea making his debut on our pod. PJ calling in from Vegas. Firstly, Dominic, welcome to the show. How are you feeling after watching that game?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me. Really nice to have the chance to speak to you guys. It was a pretty great game, but I don't really know how to feel. Was it just us being good or the US being a little bit, with all the squad?
Shit.
Yeah, if you want to say it like that. Yeah, but I think all in all, pretty decent performance. Yeah.
The first half, the U.S. really struggled to string passes together. They looked a lot better in the second half when they made their subs. So you do question Pochettino's lineup as far as who he had in the game at that time in the first half compared to the second half. It looked like they had way more purpose in the second half. I know Korea was kind of coasting a little bit. It looked like they're protecting that 2-0 lead and not really pushing forward. But at the same time, the U.S. created way more chances in the second half compared to the first half. So I do agree with Dominic. I don't know how much it is of us looking good as opposed to the U.S. not looking good. On the same token, we had a few chances and we were able to convert those and be clinical. So I think that's something to be proud of. Defensively, I think we looked great, especially with the three center backs. I'm not sure if Dominic agrees, but we were talking about this in the watch along. But defensively, I thought we looked solid, minus Itesuk on the left side. You could see a little bit of inexperience there and maybe a little overly aggressive with his pursuits and got burned a couple of times. So that's a little bit of a worry spot. But all in all, 2-0 win. You got to take that away. That's a good result for us.
Yeah, we played a back three. So just for kind of people to know the background, we played Kim Min-jae in the middle with Kim Ju-sung on the left, Lee Han-bom on his right side, Lee Tae-seok and Seo Ryung-woo as the wing backs. And I guess I want to ask Dominic, when we look at the defense, because we'll get to the forwards later, but I tend to agree with Paul. I think everyone looked good, especially Lee Han-bom and Kim Ju-sung in build-up, but Lee Tae-seok still kind of worries me defensively. And I think there was one play where Serginho Dest kind of really cooked him on that left-hand side. You would agree, right?
Yeah. Genuinely speaking, I'm a big fan of Tae-seok. I think he's doing great at his new club, Austria Wien. But in these kind of games, you just see that he lacks of experience, I think. And for me, he's more the offensive player. So you can see definitely that he lacks some defense skills. And yeah, as you guys already said, he seemed pretty excited or maybe overly excited.
But there was a play where Christian Pulisic got the ball on the left side and Seo Ryung was covering him. And Seo Ryung gave him just enough respect and space to still play him but not get burnt. And then like 10, 15 minutes later, Pulisic had the same type of one-on-one situation, but with Tae-seok this time, Tae-seok overly committed and he got burned on it. So it's like he's kind of has to learn that it's not just about sticking to a guy that close like glue at all times and trying to get the ball back. You have to know when and where to go for the ball and when and where to play it a little safer, especially when you don't have support. So defensively, like I said, I don't think it's a lack of skill. It's more of an experience thing. So I think as he continues to play in these matches with the better teams, he'll probably learn, okay, when to be aggressive and when not to be aggressive. But he was the one, I guess, sore spot for me as far as that line goes.
And Dominic, you're based in, Western Northern Europe. How has Tae-seok been playing at Austria Wien? Is he playing in a back three or a back four? And how has he been adjusting to the league in Austria?
He's also playing in a back three at the moment. So he's also the left wing back of Austria Wien. And I think he's done really great in his first games. He's been a regular starter in like his last 3 games, I think. He's also, or he was playing in, I think Austria Wien was playing in Conference League qualification, but he wasn't eligible to play, I think. So he's only played in the league, but he's done pretty decent, despite the clubs in general not having a good start. Maybe you've seen it, a pretty bad start. But I think he personally is adapting really well. So yeah, I think it's not a skill issue as well. It's more like the lack of experience. And maybe I think it's a bit of a physical issue. He's not
The biggest
not
guy.
really big.
Yeah.
The biggest guy. So maybe he has to step up on that as well.
I agree with Dominic that he's a pretty offensive-minded fullback. It's unfortunate we didn't get to see too many instances where he got to showcase his skills there. Minus like I think the wayward shot he had in the first half where he had an open shot at goal. But yeah, it's unfortunate. But I think if he gets more chances on the flank, I know we don't really have a 9 to finish off those crosses. If you have, that's I guess the one weak point of being Sonny up top is that you can't really throw balls in the box. You kind of have to ticky-tack the ball there and then get Sonny the ball in some shooting lanes. So you can't really take advantage of Itisok's crossing in those situations. But hopefully he gets more opportunity to do that. And I think, again, given more opportunity and experience, he can grow from this.
I think that if Tezok is going to be the left back or the left wing back, then it makes sense to play in a back 3, especially if he can't defend, like Dominic and Paul have mentioned. But I think at this point, he probably deserves another look at Mexico because, again, defensively, not the best, but we have to test it out and see how he's doing because he's still better offensively than the other options. Like Lee Myung-jae has completely fallen off the map, I think, after he went to Birmingham. You could place Heung-min there maybe, but also he seems to be entrenched on that right side, even though I would personally play him on the left. We look guys a little further up the field today. In the midfield, Heung-min was obviously injured, so he wasn't playing. We started out with looked like a double pivot of Kim Jin-gyu and Paek Seung-ho kind of playing as 2 number 8s. Personally thought Paek was a bit invisible as usual. I don't think he made any glaring mistakes, but he didn't really impact the game. Kim Jin-gyu had some really impressive forward passing that I think could give him more of a look if Inbom is still hurt again. And then obviously the big thing we want to talk about is Jens Kastrup coming on. Got about like 20, 30 minutes of playing time. And Dominic, I mean, obviously you've seen him a lot in the Bundesliga, but I was impressed by his motor. Like I know he was a good player, but physically he really impressed me with the energy he had. And he seemed to have an instant impact on the field. I mean, good first start, yeah?
Yeah, I think it was a pretty decent start for Kastrup. I did not imagine him to play like 30 minutes. I think that it was kind of a bold move, but he was pretty decent defensively. I think he's put in a great effort, and yeah, he's talented without a doubt. So that's the reason he got nominated, and I think he really showed off today that he may be a starter with more experience in like 1 or 2 years, not for now. I think he's still pretty raw, but you can see he really is a midfield engine who can have an impact offensively and defensively. So really nice start.
I did not expect minutes. That's 30 minutes is crazy. I thought maybe he might get like 5 minutes, like right at the end, just to get loose or something, just to get his feet wet. But for Myungbo to put him in up 2-0, knowing that we're going to take our foot off the gas and the U.S. is going to have the ball the majority of the time, I was really impressed. Like Albert and I were talking about his physicality, I think really stood out. Like anytime he would duel with a U.S. opponent, like his physical just stature, his balance is really good. He doesn't lose his balance. He looks pretty press resistant too. He's not scared of the press when it comes his way. And I just like his overall demeanor as well. He's not scared to make a foul when he needs to make a foul. Just a proper midfielder, I feel like. So it was a really good cameo for him and a really good introduction, I think, to the KNT. And hopefully this will lead to more minutes against Mexico. I don't know how that's going to go, especially if we're in a tight one against Mexico or if we're losing, because I think Mexico is a lot better than the U.S. But we'll see.
Would you guys start Kastrup instead of Paek Seung-ho? Because I think Kim Jin-gyu deserves to start again. But maybe do we start with Kastrup against Mexico, who I think probably has a much more physical midfield than the U.S.? I mean, again, he's just joined the national team. He's still learning the language. He's still learning his teammates. But from what I've seen from the camp videos, he seems to be adjusting pretty well. Sonny speaks German. Obviously, Chesung has played in Germany for a while. So he seems at least somewhat comfortable to start playing 30 minutes. So, I mean, I'll start with you, Dominic. Like, what do you think the long-term plan is with Kastrup? I would say best case scenario comes on as like a super sub in the World Cup, but maybe he could start if we have more injuries in midfield.
To be honest, I'd love to see that. It would be pretty bold. As you mentioned, he doesn't have the experience as well with the teammates, and he's learning the language, he's learning the system that's being played. But I think with him having the experience playing in second Bundesliga, which is a pretty physical league in Germany, and now he's playing at Gladbach in the first Bundesliga, I think he definitely could help us now that we may be lacking of such a physical midfield. I think, as you mentioned, Pike was pretty, he didn't do something wrong, but he wasn't outstanding. And I think Kastrup can give us some other strengths.
Yeah, I see it the same way. I feel like Heung-min really needed to win today just to get the public and the haters like off his back, because the recent performances haven't been great. A lot of people want him to step down and stuff like that. So I think he needed to get this win out of the way. And now that we have this win, I was telling this to Albert too. I'm not sure if you're going to agree with this, Dominic, but I think Heung-min can use this second game as an excuse to experiment. Because if he loses the game with the starters, then it's like, oh, you lost to Mexico. What happened? But if you experiment and lose, then people are like, oh, he tried something. So it's almost like a win-win situation. If he tries to experiment and then loses, people will be like, oh, at least he put in new players and we got to try things out. We already got the win against the US, so it's not a completely, failure of an international window. So I feel like if he's going to do it, it's going to be against Mexico. I feel like he was going to go strong against the US today to get that win, get that out the way. But I feel like this was the most winnable match. But I think he is going to rotate, especially now. I think Lee Jae-sung's probably going to be out for that second match. There's probably going to be some lineup adjustments there. I think probably Pochettino is going to end up starting on the left-hand side if we're going to keep Sonny up top. And there'll probably be some rotating there in the midfield. I do feel like Kim Jin-yu looked a little more impactful as opposed to Paek Sung-ho today. Paek Sung-ho did play the full 90 today, so maybe that's a sign of him not starting against Mexico, since he played the full 90 and Kim Jin-yu got subbed out like in the 70th minute to keep him fresh. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's how I feel about that.
Yeah, I think there's some injuries now. So Lee Jae-sung came off with a bit of a knock. I don't think it's going to be major, but he'll probably miss the game against Mexico, which means that the left forward spot or the left wing spot will be open. Maybe Pochettino starts there instead. And I guess looking at the forwards, guys, obviously Son Heung-min looked amazing, scoring that goal against Matt Fries to open the scoring. But then looking at some of the other players, I think on the right side, it was Lee Dong-kyung. He also scored a goal. I don't think he's somebody who should start for us, but he's spent time playing in Germany. So it seems like all the guys who got opportunities did do well enough to, I guess, warrant more looks with this national team. And I guess, Dominic, you can speak on Lee Dong-kyung and maybe about why he flamed out in Germany. I always thought of him as a very poor man's Kang-in, but I guess in a back three system, when you have these forwards interchanging, he could, play a role for us still.
Yeah, I think he's had a great impact today. His stint in Germany wasn't really that successful. You can say that his time at Schalke wasn't that nice for him. But I think today he was pretty electric, and you could see that in a system where we're playing high press. He's a valuable player. So he made his goal. He got his chances. He got his recoveries. I think, we can use him in a system like that. He's a pretty valuable player. Yeah.
I enjoyed his performance. I think he complemented Lee Jae-sung and the midfield pretty well there. He didn't try to overdo things, but he was clean with the ball when he had the ball. He's always been a very, I think, crisp passer. So there's no worries there from like a technical standpoint. And I think Son Heung-min is probably going to be looked at as a very key player today, maybe the man of the match because he scored that first goal. But I feel like from an overall game standpoint, I know he got injured, but I think Lee Jae-sung did a lot of the dirty work, a lot of the off-the-ball stuff that we know that he's great at. I think he was kind of the unsung hero today. I think so. My two top players, at least offensively speaking, is probably going to be Son Heung-min and Lee Jae-sung. I'm not sure how you guys feel as far as your man of the matches go. But up top, those guys look great today. So I know we've always kind of been a little weary of Lee Jae-sung out wide. I don't think he's not really the best player like on the ball or anything like that out wide. But like when he's kind of shifting inward and crashing the box and making those little short passes, I think he was responsible for the assist of Son Heung-min on the first goal too, on a great through ball. So I think some of his passing can be a little underestimated. But he played great. I think Lee Jae-sung, from an overall standpoint, was probably my man of the match. And then Son Heung-min obviously scoring that first goal from where he scored from. I think he's like the only guy who could score from there on Korea's team, maybe outside of Hwang Hee-chan when he's healthy. So it was great to see him be clinical there. And that was a big goal, I think, because up to that point, I think things were a little shaky from both teams. So I think scoring that goal kind of alleviated some of the pressure and then, put it right back on the U.S. So I think we were able to dominate the rest of the first half after scoring that first goal.
Sonny's been playing as the 9 for LAFC, obviously, as he ages, and he played that position for us today. I think, obviously, aerially, it wasn't good. And I will say, beginning of the match looked like it was pretty bad because it was bangchuku, right? With classic long balls and hoping that somebody will win a knockdown. And obviously, Sonny can't do that. And he wasn't able to do that until that nice little through ball from Lee Jae-sung that kind of opened the floodgates. Again, I give credit to the boys in Hong for what happened, but like Dominic said, I don't know if it's because of this U.S. team just being so porous all over the pitch. I mean, long term, I still think there's a future for him where he plays out wide. Again, I would be okay with playing him as the 9 against Mexico just to see how it goes, but I worry against some teams with actual decent center backs that are tall and physical that Sonny might not be as good at the 9 position, and I'm just curious what you guys think about his main position as we go into the World Cup.
That's something we have to discuss. It's not that easy to answer. I think the issue that you mentioned, that he's not that aerially dominant, is something we have to face. Also, if you look at the stats, like Hanbom had just 1 out of 6 accurate long balls, so you can see there isn't a striker who's able to win these aerial duels. So playing long balls from behind isn't something we can do. I think he's got the pace to play out wide, and also he's got the dribbling to do it. But also, as Paul mentioned, he may be the only player who's got the shooting technique to score a goal like that. It's a bit of an issue we have to face, but I don't really have an answer to that now. Maybe the Mexico game will give us an answer to that if he's able to perform against a better team that's more put together than the US was obviously not put together today.
Dominic, I'm curious what you think then. If you were the manager, would you stick with this back 3? And who would you play as the number 9 if you were in charge of these tactics?
I think the back 3 complemented the team very well, especially in the build-up play when we decided to not play a long ball like in the beginning. That was pretty frustrating, but I think we have the quality to play it with short passes to build up. As you also mentioned, our wingbacks are too offensive to play in the 4-back, I think, if you want to play them. So I think that this would complement us pretty well. As you also mentioned, Lee Jae-sung is maybe injured or will miss the Mexico game. So maybe that would be a chance to play Heung-min on the left and or centrally is a striker who I think is more aerially dominant, maybe who could also back his goals by headers from Tesok's crosses. Maybe that would be a solution, but I don't know. It's difficult.
Yeah, I think it's going to depend on the matchup as far as who we're playing, whether Sonny plays up top or not. Against if we play like bigger teams like Albert's talking about, play the Germanys or the Englands and stuff like that of the world, it probably wouldn't go well trying to play Sonny up top. So it really depends on the matchup, I think. Lee Jae-sung being injured, I do see that shifting things a little bit. I just don't know, man. I'm worried about Oh Young-gyu looking better as a sub than he does as a starter, because he when you watch him play, he's kind of that guy who goes like 120% as soon as he gets on. He kind of reminds me of like a Russell Westbrook in the NBA, where he's just going full on. I don't know if he can do that from minute 0 to minute 90. So I like that energy he brings as a sub. It's been a while since he played as a starter, like full 90 for the Korean national team. I don't know how that's going to work. But again, that might be a time to test it. We'll probably, if things go the way I think they go, and Sonny does start out wide on the left, it's probably going to be him, Sonny left, O top, and then Kang-in right is probably what we're going to see against Mexico, is what would be my guess if we go that route. If we go Sonny up top, then it's probably going to be Pochettino on the left. So it'll be interesting to see what choice Hong Myung-bo makes there as far as who he plays up top. But because Sonny played so well up top today, I feel like we're gonna see a repeat of that against Mexico.
Yeah, guys, and just looking forward to this Mexico match. We're going to play in Nashville next. Not exactly a place known to have a home field advantage for Korea. Mexico are going to play, at the time of this recording, Japan in a few hours. We'll see how that game goes down. Honestly, I think the Mexico game is going to be a real litmus test to see how bad the U.S. were and how good we were today. So I think even if we manage a draw and we play well, I'll be happy because it's Mexico away. If we win, then I'll be thinking, wow, this is really maybe a turning point for not just the national team, but Heung-min specifically. And I'll feel a lot more hope than I have in the past year or two since the Asian Cup. I think that when I was interviewing Jurgen Klinsmann last year, he was talking about how there was an issue in harmony in the team at the Asian Cup. There were different guys in different cliques and different groups. It didn't really seem like a family, especially with Ping Pong Gate. So I hope that this U.S. trip is an opportunity for the boys to bond. Tactically speaking, Mexico under Javier Aguirre play a very defensive style, park the bus. I'm not sure if they'll do that against us, considering that, they might think, okay, we have the home field advantage here, let's go for it. I'm expecting another tight game this time. I think something around a 2-2, 1-1 might be more fitting. But Dominic, just looking at Mexico, what are your initial thoughts about that game?
Yeah, I think, as Paul also mentioned, it may be a chance to experiment because you may use it as an excuse if it doesn't go that well. At least I've got a better feeling before today's game. I think we're pretty well put together in the build-up game. I think the 3-back suits us very well. So it seems like we've got a game plan, and that's something, that gives me a good feeling regarding the Mexico game.
I feel like a player like Kastrop could really be beneficial in a game like Mexico because Mexico is going to bring the physicality. They're a very physical team. They've always been that way. They play hard. And I feel like Kastrop kind of fits that mold. I'm not saying a guy like Baek Sung-ho or Kim Jin-gyu is not fit for that, but you can definitely see an upgrade or a difference in physicality when Kastrop is on there. I think like the very first play he made, he had his back to the defender and he was just able to keep him off and control the ball and keep the ball moving. And that was impressive for a first play on a debut for a new national team where you don't even speak the language. So I could see that happening. I really did not expect him to get 30 minutes today. So maybe that speaks volumes of how well he's been playing in training leading up to this. And maybe Myeongbo feels highly about what he brings skill set wise to our team. But yeah, I feel like it's a win-win situation. Like if I was Myeongbo, that's a smart thing to do is to experiment. And if things go well, then take credit for it. And if things don't go well, just say you're trying something out.
Gonna put you on the spot, boys. Dominic, what are your predictions for the game? I know it's early, but how do you see us doing against Mexico?
I think it will be a lot more difficult than against the US. I think Mexico is a better team, more put together. So I don't think we'll have a clean sheet. It was a bit lucky today at the end of the game as well. So I'd say we draw a 1-1. And I think that would be a pretty decent full time.
We got to shout out Choyonu first, as Dominic brought up. That double save at the end of the match was absolutely insane. We probably should have got one goal scored on us there, but as I stated, I feel like the Mexico is levels above the U.S., and I think they'll shock us early. So I feel like we're going to lose this one. Either 2-1 or 3-1 is going to be my guess. And I'm not going to blame Heung-min because I think he is going to experiment a little bit and throw new pieces in there. And I think that's going to take some time for that chemistry to build. And I mean, this is what you use friendlies for. So it's not like we have to go 2-0 to prove anything. I feel like you want to try new pieces out to see how they work out, build that chemistry, build towards 2026. And that's why I feel like it's going to not be the prettiest. And I think Mexico will take advantage of that. But I think just playing somewhere like Nashville and not having our home crowd that we're used to as far as like the amount of fans, I think it's going to lead to a little bit of discomfort and just adjustment as far as how we're going to play. So I think it's going to be a little rough. I think we'll score one at the end, but I'm like 2-1, 3-1. Mexico is where I'm leaning.
I think I'm going to agree with both of you guys. I'm going to go with like a 2-2 draw. I think this game is where we kind of fall back to earth, but we still keep some of the good parts about what we did. I think if Kang-in starts, hopefully he's able to, jumpstart our attack a bit instead of the long ball soccer that we saw today, which I really didn't like at the beginning. But either way, I'm excited for the first time in a while. And I think that's the most important thing, the joy we're seeing back in these players, especially today. It seemed like they were vibing really well on and off the pitch. So I hope that we can continue this because it's going to be an important World Cup. We guys got like what 9 months until the World Cup starts. That's very soon. It's going to come up on us very quickly. So I think each international window is going to be important. And then we're going to be playing Brazil and Paraguay in Korea next month. So that's also going to be important as well. But yeah, I just want to thank Dominic for jumping on, guys. I'm going to link his socials and all of his information on the channel. But any last words, boys, as we close out?
The key matchup for Tuesday is going to be Kang-in versus not a player, but it's going to be Mexico's manager, Aguirre, because Aguirre is going to know Kang-in better than anybody else as far as how to game plan for him, his strengths and weaknesses. So the chess match that's going to be involved if Kang-in starts against Aguirre is going to be very, very interesting. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing that mental matchup between manager and player plays out that way.